Welcome to the podcast of Data and Analytics in Business. We'll learn from the leading industry experts using data and analytics to solve the problems and create values in practice. We'll also learn where the industry is heading to and how data and analytics will shape the industry in the future. Most importantly, how they are preparing their business for digital transformation and disruption in the future. I'm your host, Jason Tan, and thank you for listening.
Hello, my beloved analytic community. I recently presented at Digital CFO Summit, Jakarta, and I wanted to share with you my presentation. It was really a great event, and I had the opportunity to meet with and learn from many business leaders from Indonesia and Australia. Now, this presentation can also be seen as the extension of my previous solo episode 61, the 3 critical rules of building advanced data analytic platform. Now, it is a case study incorporating the 3 very important elements to develop an advanced analytic platform. Now, these elements are: why do you need to move beyond the dashboard and tap into the power of analytics? How do you embed data analytics into your business frontline and operation? And how to integrate analytic platform with a legacy system. Now, the title of my presentation at the summit is Automating and Optimizing with a Competitor Pricing Engine. It is a case study I use to illustrate advanced analytics by showing how an e-commerce retailer can compete with local and international retailer, and most importantly, how to develop a data-driven pricing strategy and system to stay competitive while also not leaving any money on the table. It is also a very special episode because it covers some of the works and philosophy I developed over the years, especially when I worked for Suncorp, one of the largest insurance companies, to develop its pricing optimization platform for general insurance. Now, to that, I want to take this opportunity to thank those who work alongside me and show me the importance of getting data analytics to work for the business instead of the other way around. If you are a top management executive, it is important to understand that adopting analytics should always start with a clearly defined business need or strategy. At first, we must understand what we do and how exactly it will benefit the customer or improve our efficiency. We then work backward to figure out what data, analytics, system, technology, and people that we will need to have in place to achieve this outcome. It should never be the other way around. And finally, this episode is sponsored by DDA. If you're looking to embed analytics directly into your business frontline, please reach out. I will share with you the framework I used to develop various analytic platforms throughout the years. If you have any question or feedback for my presentation, make sure you send me an email or message on LinkedIn. Last but not least, make sure you click the subscribe button before the interview starts, so you will be the first to be informed on the latest episode on how business leaders run a high-performance organization using data analytics. I am your host, Jason Tan. Thank you for listening.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back for the second session for the day. I have our second speaker for the day, who's Jason Tan, the founder and managing director of Data Driven Analytics. So a quick intro about Jason. Jason actually spent 9 years working at a blue chip insurance and financial companies, designing and developing various complex analytics applications for profit optimization, and also founded 2 other companies that gave first-hand experience of the digital marketplace and consumer behavior in the B2C market. So I think without further ado, I would like to welcome Jason to share his presentation with us.
Thank you, Michael, for the kind introduction. I wanted to start by saying that was a great presentation by Albert, wasn't it? I really second of what Albert has got to say about understanding the why, because understanding the why is so important underneath of what we do today. And it is really the foundation of getting it right. So let me start with my presentation. So hello, everyone. My name is Jason Tan, and I embed data science directly into the business frontline. So today, I'm going to show you why the competitor pricing engine can make your organization more data-driven and how to use it to optimize revenue. Now, before I start, I want to tell you a backstory of how the insurers and I have been doing this for years. And most importantly, how you can implement this concept in your business. So back in mid of 2000, I worked as a pricing advisor at one of the largest insurance companies here in Australia. We hired tens of backpackers to collect data for us manually. Now they would sit in front of the computer to get thousands of insurance code from the competitor website. And then we got the actuaries would then to reverse engineer the code on how other insurers are charging for each of the rating factor. And this includes the rating factors such as the gender, age, vehicle brands, claim count, and many other essential factors that effectively make up the final premium that you pay for your insurance. So once we have got that sorted, we then simulate how much our competitor would be charging our customer. And together with other data, this information is subsequently fed into the pricing optimization platform to generate the most optimal price before the customer renew their policy. Now, one thing that we were presently surprised is that because of the premium branding that we hold in the market, we often could actually increase the price and not leave any money on the table. And this is something that I have been since then implemented for my client in Australia. Now, here's what I'm going to show you today. Number one, what is a world-class competitor pricing engine used by the leading insurers and retailer? Number two, how to use this 5-module implementation in creating a revenue optimization engine. And number three, why this will boost your revenue by at least 10%. Now, you probably have already known platforms like Amazon and Alibaba are optimizing their price for their customer. They embrace the data-driven philosophy to use internal and external data for marketing and selling products to their customer. Now, you can actually achieve the same result. And moreover, thanks to the advance of the cloud and the analytic as a service platform, you can start implementing the same solution in 12 months' time. Now, let me show you this with a case study. I have a friend who is the chief revenue officer of this retailing company called Running Warehouse. They are based in Australia. Now, Kevin has an online store and also a few physical stores. The primary product that he sells are running shoes for runners. And like many other retailers, he competes both physical and online store. And he also ships to over 20 countries worldwide. So it's really, truly an international business. But equally, he competes with many other players as well. So Kevin told me that he is really frustrated with his competitors because their pricing strategy often greatly impact his revenue. Now let's look at one of the products as an example and see the problem that he has. Now, in the world that we live in today, it's so common to visit multiple websites before we shop, especially if the products are identical. So for example, these Ultra Boost 21 running shoes from Adidas, they are really trendy, and it's also one of my favorite. At Running Warehouse, Kevin and Running Warehouse is currently selling it at $219, and they are still stocked for all of the sizes. Now, it's pretty good price, but let's look at a few other competitor stores and how much they are selling. So at Adidas, they are selling at $270, and that's about $50 dearer. So, and that is about 23% more than what Kevin charged. Do you think it's a very big difference? Now, I certainly do. Although I think Adidas can certainly charge this price and get away from it because of their market positioning. What about the largest sporting goods
retailer in Australia, Rebel Sport. Now, it looks like it is 1 cent cheaper than Adidas, but still it's about $50 more expensive than Kevin. Now, finally, let's see how much they are selling at Amazon. Now, they sell it at $244 plus $24 for delivery fee, assuming the buyer does not have Amazon Prime. So that's about $271. And it's probably the most expensive at all. I find unbelievable. I wonder if you expect the same thing as well. Now, if we look closer at what Amazon is charging, I think it is evident how Amazon optimizes price and revenue. Without the delivery fee, $244 is somewhere between running warehouse and all other major retailer. So this allows Amazon to win the sales from all other big box retailer. At the same time, they use delivery fee as a hook to sign people up for Amazon Prime for all year free and fast shipping. Now, finally, I know no human would come up with a price ending 53 cents. So it's really the optimization engine in place dictating the price. But I think you already knew that. Now, what have we learned so far? Kevin and running warehouse are clearly the cheapest among all. On average, he charged $51 lesser than his competitor. So he is actually leaving quite a lot of money on the table. So these are the questions that we asked Kevin and the chief data officer. Would you always be aware you are selling at a price that is 20% below than everyone else? What if you could sell it at a higher price but remain competitive? And what if you could monitor and adjust the price for all the products automatically? Now, I know the answer to those questions are an easy yes, because my client in the insurance industry often ask the same question. And using the modern cloud platform, Kevin can also develop a revenue optimization engine like Shopee. Kevin will need 5 modules to do that, and we will go through each of them in this presentation today. Now, the very first module is to collect external data, such as your product, color, price, location from the competitor. We can choose to include as many or as a few competitors as he likes, but make sure we always have the key competitors. And to collect this external data, we will need a mechanism to manage them at scale. Now, the good news is, though, it has never been easier than ever. And best thing ever, Kevin won't have to recruit any backpackers like I did in the old days. Instead, we can rely on modern data collection platform and their infrastructure to scale up and scale down according to the needs. Now, we are now in 2021. Many companies and people are well aware of web scraping, but unfortunately, it is a lot harder to scrape the data these days. Equally, it is still entirely possible to solve all of these challenges. Now, let's start with 2 main issues if Kevin would face if he built his own web scraping solution. Number 1, the website will quickly block his IP address even when dealing with the public web data. Number 2, they could mislead Kevin by showing him different information. Now, these are the very reason often we use other external modern data collection platform for all our clients. With this sort of data platform, we can rely on their residential proxy network. It basically means that our data collection activity will never be misled or blocked by the website. In addition to that, we don't have to worry about maintaining infrastructure or controlling our costs based on our meter usage. And even better, a lot of us can get up and running straight away by using some of those ready-made templates. So we could now monitor and keep ourselves up to date with the competitors' offer with the data collector platform. So we can now incorporate this critical information to optimize the product pricing. And remember, we are not merely mimicking what the competitors are charging. Instead, we'll take it further to optimize the revenue at the subsequent module. So in module 2, we also need to map and translate the external data to our product. For example, they include the brand name, model, color, delivery fee, and potentially location. Now, these will make sure that we can compare all the products like for like. In other more complex scenarios, the products are not necessarily identical. For example, the home insurance or product insurance, motor insurance are one of them. So this is when we need to have the domain expert providing the knowledge to map and translate the data. Now, when it comes to the price optimization, there are a few things we should always have in place to safeguard the business and avoid catastrophic disaster. First one is the ceiling price, and the second one is the floor price. A ceiling price is basically the maximum amount we would want to charge for a product. In the retail industry, we wouldn't want to deviate too much from the regular price. For example, $100 more expensive than everyone else for exactly the same product. As for the floor price, it is a minimum price that we want to charge for a product. And unless it is a loss leader, we do not want to sell it below cost. So in our case, our ceiling price is probably about $271, and that's about and plus 5% loading, so that's about $284. The floor price will probably set it about $219, which is the original price. We can find an optimal number between the ceiling and the floor price based on the desired position in the market by Kevin. But we would never want to deviate or go outside between those two numbers. And other than that, we also want to consider if you are online pure play or you have both an online and offline presence. If you have an offline store, what are the location and your typical consumer demographic visiting the store? Is it at a premium high street location where they are generally more affluent shopper? And finally, how do you design your online store and customer experience for your most loyal shopper? For example, do you have a way to actively encourage the shopper to always log in for a personalized experience? Because when you do, you will know your customer so much better, and you will have more opportunity to create a great experience for them, make more upsells, and increase their loyalty. Now, there are a few ways to achieve it, but I think this topic alone is probably worthy for another discussion for another day. As we have optimized the price, the next step is to optimizing Kevin's revenue. And this is probably the holy grail of a data-driven revenue optimization platform. We can make it very advanced by including many complex models using both internal and external data. Now, generally, I would advise the client to start simple and gradually increase the model complexity over the time. Now, price is certainly one of the crucial factors, but it is not the only factor. There are many factors to consider, such as the demand, inventory, clearance rate, and the locality. Now, overall, this is where Kevin and running warehouse want to optimize their revenue for the business with the data they already collected and they have. By considering all of these factors, they can then design a strategy to maximize the result. Now, one of the important notes about this part that I told Kevin is they don't have to have everything from day one. Instead, he can add or subtract any of them as he sees fit. And for the data analytic to succeed, it is always best to start small, deliver to prove the value, and then reiterate and improve. The other important thing about this is how we design the platform to add more or remove any model as quickly as we want, just like a switch. And remember, the last thing that we want to have is that we will need to engage a team of engineers to make the changes that could take months to implement anytime we make an update. Instead, we want to move as fast as possible. We want to move faster than our competitor. We want to make the changes in a matter of days or even hours. Now, in our experience, the very last step can be a showstopper at some company. Like many other companies, Kevin has a legacy system from prominent software vendor. They make various customization to make the IT system work for their business. However, these legacy IT systems do not necessarily support the data-driven concept in a modern IT architecture. As a result, they cannot quickly adapt to the changes at speed. So the delay or complexity of updating the legacy system is causing some of these modules never to realize their full potential. But I assure Kevin and you that it's entirely possible to work with the IT team to get the architecture design right. So once we have optimized the price and the revenue, we will now have an entirely new set of pricing for each of the distribution channels that achieve the optimal result. Now, this includes a higher but competitive price on the website and store for each of the location. And this brings us to the final step. It is about updating the analytical result into the system automatically, which is the final price that you want to sell. If you have a modern web-based system, it's very likely that you already have API, and we can easily update the price through the API. If you have a legacy system, we can work with the IT, or you can work with the IT to push the data. And finally, we want to streamline the changes with the team members at the brick and mortar store. You probably also want to provide them some training on how to responding to the customer who question about the price discrepancy. Now, with that all said, the key here is to have as little human intervention as possible. So this step here is really critical to get it right. We want to minimize the human error, the cost, and the resources from all of these manual updates. Now, these will only allow Kevin to increase the speed of delivery and optimizing the result from all of the automation. As they often say, speed is the key to win a business war. And finally, Kevin can actually tune the system to run daily, weekly, or monthly. From our experience, we would suggest a fortnightly or a monthly run is suitable for most businesses. Now, let's look at the result from the example we have used in this presentation. Before the optimization, the original price is $219. However, based on the external data we have collected, we know it is possible for a price upheaval. On average, Kevin is now charging an extra $38 or 17% more than before, whilst remaining competitive. Now, bear in mind, the above is only for one product. Imagine the financial impact that Kevin can make when he replicates these for the entire portfolio. As for the cost perspective, how many full-time employees we could also be saving and how much human error we could avoid. And the most important thing is that Kevin would never have to worry about the competitor crushing his price anymore, because he is always constantly monitoring and one step ahead of them. Now, I know from Michael and Tira that from the registration detail, there are many people from different industries. So some of you may be wondering if this applies to your industry. Now, from our experience and research, many of the companies in the industry that you see on the screen have already benefited from this sort of revenue optimization platform. Now, we are almost at the end of the presentation. Let me briefly restate these main points that we discussed today so you can take them back to the office and like Kevin, you can start implementing them to bulletproof the future. Number one, enrich your data with external data. Number two, map and translate the external data accordingly. Number three, optimize product pricing with a competitor pricing engine. Number four, optimize portfolio revenue with more data and analytic model. And number five, update the result with automated process into the system. Now, before I let you go, I want to quote what Jeff Bezos said about innovation and how we should use it to build a data-driven organization. He said, we innovate by starting with the customer and working backward. And that becomes the touchstone of how we invent. Now, if this ideology is critical to make Bezos the wealthiest person in the world, why do we hesitate and not do it at our own organization? I think it just makes no sense. So we built data-driven pricing engine for Kevin and running warehouse on precisely this ideology. We started by wanting to provide the best price to the customer. We then worked backward to collect the data and build an analytic platform to complement the legacy system. And finally, we continue to automate and optimize the analytics engine. So it is there we discover it's not the pretty dashboard that shows the numbers, but we discover the best way to optimize profit for our client is to embed analytics into their business frontline. Innovation is the only way to safeguard our business. And finally, developing a data-driven system is just easier than ever before. Like Kevin, you don't need hundreds of engineers like Amazon once did to build every single element from scratch. Instead, similar like Shopee, you can plug and play various technology platforms from the market. The cost of having such a platform are also cheaper and more accessible than ever. What Amazon spent a few years building in the past, you could now achieve it yourself in 12 months at a fraction of the cost. So my fellow innovator, take action and take action now. Thank you.